Hey legends, one of the new plugins in Metric Halo's V4 production bundle is SonicEQ. SonicEQ is actually one of the first digital equalizers ever, and it was designed by a guy named James Moore way back in the day of SoundDroid, which was at Lucasfilm and the industrial lights and magic situation that they were having out in California when everybody was first starting to use digital technology in film production. And it's a very interesting equalizer because it's got some controls that we typically don't see on equalizers. Some of these equalizers are tuned already before we get our hands on them, and SonicEQ allows you to get your hands dirty with those things, and you can create some really creative stuff by utilizing this equalizer. There's also some special features built into SonicEQ that are, pretty cool if you're going to be utilizing this thing in a home studio situation. So let me show you some of those. So one thing that I really want to point out right off the bat is this special band over here. This band is a band of filters that didn't need to be recreated across the typical type bands where you have parametric, high shelf, low shelf. These were bands that you would only want to use one of per instance. And, things like DC removal, you won't even see show up in your curve because it's happening around 1 Hertz, it's way low, and it's just there to remove DC. It's special filter for that. One of the great special features that you can do at home if you're producing or if you're trying to listen to some music and you have a turntable and you plug it straight into your interfaces and you don't have a receiver, you can enable the RIA decode curve, which will allow you to decode the curve that's encoded on the vinyl that you're trying to listen to. There's a couple other curves that may be useful for things like archiving and mastering, things like de-emphasis, which, will take away the high frequency emphasis that was added in things like old converters. But for the most part, these are special curves that you will only need if you're really looking for them, which is why they're not represented over here. But when you get to the standard bands, they can get pretty interesting. One thing to check out is the order. So if you start with a first order, you can see that as you go further towards fourth order, you get a steeper and steeper curve. And I think that this is very interesting because this is where you can get creative with this equalizer. So if you see here, you'll see that I'll make this curve wider. You can see just a little bit of ripple happening already. And this is the pass ripple. So what that is that this curve that's happening within this band is what's passing through this audio bandwidth. But if I go and I turn up pass ripple, I will make this steeper and introduce more curves at the poles of this filter. And these can be very dramatic and very creative, to the point where it sounds like it's almost taking out audio by itself. So let's go listen to that. And you can hear how it gets more hollow sounding, but even though this looks wild, this sounds more natural, and it doesn't sound bad. So let's try filtering this audio with a bandpass filter, and we have the Q wide open, we've got our pass ripple pretty wide and our stop ripple pretty wide. And what you can do is you can tune this filter as you get it to a point where it sounds musical. So we'll move up in our frequency. One way to utilize this equalizer in a creative way is to utilize the order function as well as the pass ripple to create harder and harder filters that can sound more harmonically rich, as well as like comb filtering in particular ways. So let's listen as we sweep this. And let's make our pass ripple even harder. And you can add more of those to the point where you have a 4-stage phaser going on. They're very, very creative in the sense that you can just go and you can grab multiple bands that are doing similar things and drag them around in a way that, you know, makes a new sound. So we hope that you spend some time with SonicEQ, because not only is it wonderful for tasks like mastering, but it's also very, very creative. Thank you. Have a great day.